Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. I'm Snow, and in today's video, we're going to talk about Tower of Adversity. I've tested out this mode before its release in global, and let me tell you, it's something else. It's definitely meant to be endgame content. So I put together this video to help you navigate Tower of Adversity and how to go about completing it. So in this video, let's go over the details for this event, what you can expect from it in terms of difficulty, what characters are useful for completing the challenges, and some tips to help you get through this event to at least get some, if not all, of the rewards. Tower of Adversity is set to run from March 14th until the 3rd of April, which gives us 21 days to complete this event and get the highest score possible for the rankings. I'll get more into the ranking system later in the video. There's a lot of rewards to get from this event, including Luxite, Astral Shards, prestigious crowns, legendary trinkets, a special frame, and much more. We'll go over the rewards in more detail later in this video, along with the full calculations of everything that you can get out of this event. So this is a pretty large event and a very important piece of content that you'll definitely want to participate in, even if it's just for the Luxite alone. Tower of Adversity is extremely difficult content, and it's meant to be. It's true endgame content. It's broken up into 7 difficulty challenges, each with an increasing difficulty ranging from 1 to 7. You can expect it to take quite a while to beat some of these stages. So don't expect to bang this content out in an hour, because each of the difficulties gets harder as you go. Each of the difficulty challenges has an upper and lower zone, so you'll need 2 teams of 5 or 6 characters depending on the challenge level and zone. Sometimes you'll need 12 characters, sometimes it's 11. In some zones, you need 5 characters for one zone and 6 for the other, and sometimes it's 6 characters for both. So it's good to have at least 12 characters built, so you can use it for each difficulty. Of course, having more characters built will give you a bigger pool to draw from, and of course, more strategic flexibility. One of the basic rules for Tower of Adversity is you can't reuse characters and gear in both zones for each challenge level, so you can't take equipment off of characters you used in one zone to re-gear another character for the other zone. However, you can reuse characters and gear when moving from one difficulty challenge to the next. So for example, the characters and gear used for difficulty challenge 1 will be available for use in difficulty challenge 2, but the same rule applies for the zones. In other words, characters and equipment can only be used once per challenge in either the upper or lower zone. So you'll really have to think carefully about the characters and equipment that you're using. So make sure your characters are built properly before entering any of the zone stages. You can also reset the difficulty to redo it, so even if you make any mistakes, you can always use the reset so that you can try again with a different setup. The scoring system in Tower of Adversity is called Adversity Value, so you get individual scores for the upper and lower zones, which is added together to give you your total score. This is your historical adversity value, and that's what's used to determine what rewards you'll get. So your adversity value is calculated by a number of factors. The first is action score, which includes stage clear and overflow damage. Time score, which includes battle rounds and final round count. And damage taken, which includes deductions for casualties and injuries. A majority of your adversity score comes from stage clear and battle rounds. And casualties, or in other words, your characters being defeated in battle, will result in massive point deductions. So you really need to be careful with that, and make sure all of your characters survive. Historical adversity value, so your total for the 2 zones, can get into the tens of thousands range. And in order to 3-star and get all the rewards for the stage, you need to clear both zones of that difficulty. You also need to clear with an adversity total of 10,000 for 2 stars, and clear with a score of 12,000 for 3 stars. Every difficulty challenge has the same set of requirements. So as long as you get a score of 12,000 for the difficulty challenge, you'll get all of the rewards for that challenge. So think of it this way, you only need a score of 6,000 per zone to get the max rewards. And just clearing a stage gives you 4,000 points. It really comes down to how fast you complete the stage. So in other words, the number of rounds taken, and of course, making sure your characters aren't defeated. I do want to note, your historical adversity value can reach scores well beyond 12,000. That's just the minimum you need if you want to get every reward from the difficulty challenges. and there's just so many rewards up for grabs in this mode that you don't want to miss out on. The rewards per difficulty are relatively the same from difficulties level 1 through 6. The only difference is difficulty 1 through 3, you'll only be getting 50 of the astral shards. Everything else is the same. So for each difficulty challenge, you get 300 Luxite, 70 prestigious crowns, which can be used for reputation exchange, 15 unnamed talent material chests, 30,000 Elysium coins, 20,000 common experience, and 10,000 radiant powder. And for difficulty 7, you also get a random legendary trinket, so you get a lot of rewards from Tower of Adversity. This page shows the total rewards you'll get from completing difficulty stages 1 through 7. It's giving 2,100 Luxite, which is the equivalent of 14 summons, and the other items like the coins, experience, powder, and talent materials all help you with building up your account. And of course, there's also those special items like the astral shards and prestigious crowns, both of which are really important currencies. Tower of Adversity does have a ranking system that gives additional rewards, but you have to beat difficulty 7 first, and your highest score is what's counted towards the rankings. So you can redo the zones for difficulty 7 to try to get a higher score, and your highest score is what will count towards the rankings. And there are some nice rewards to get from the ranking system. You can get legendary trinkets, legendary weapons, you'll get more of the astral shards, but probably most importantly, they have a special frame and special titles that you can get for surpassing a certain amount of players in the ranking system. The frame is easier to get, you only need to surpass 40% of the players. The titles, on the other hand, are harder to get. You'll need to be in the top 20 to at least get the Master title, and if you want to get the Champion title, you'll have to be in the top 5%. Okay, so I do want to note that getting to and past difficulty 7 is going to be a challenge for many people, not just new players. Tower of Adversity is meant to be an extreme challenge. It's something you're supposed to work towards and build up your account for. So I recommend pushing as far as you can get and get as many of the rewards that you can. I also suggest using this as an opportunity to assess what weaknesses and deficits you have on your account. Make note of what you're missing. Are you missing a strong DPS, magic users, healers, buffers, tanks? This mode will help you look at your own account and make decisions of what characters to build and who to summon for on your account. Tower of Adversity will be run again in the future, so this first iteration will help you with focusing on what you need to strengthen on your account so you can prepare for the next time Tower of Adversity gets run. There are characters that perform well for Tower of Adversity. I compiled a list of characters that I and other players use to complete the stages. I tried to make this as easy as possible to understand, so I color-coded this list and tried to group the characters together based on type and abilities. So blue is for physical DPS characters, purple is for magic users, yellow is for support characters, that includes tanks, and green is for healers. The difficulty stages for Tower of Adversity do require different team setups, simply because of the floor and boss mechanics. So some stages required magic damage, others required shield breakers, some required AoE damage dealers, etc. Healers and buffers are incredibly important to keep your characters alive. You can also get damage mitigation and damage bonuses out of them as well. You'll want to beat the stages in as little rounds as possible, so dealing as much damage as you possibly can is really important. The same goes for minimizing deductions that you'll get for losing one of your characters in battle. Characters with alert function really well on many stages because they can disrupt enemy movement, and of course they can provide additional damage. Many of the stages have a lot of enemies on them, so characters with AoE damage, alert, and counter-strike work well. And when you defeat basic enemies, it deals damage to the boss. Also, basic enemies will repeatedly spawn on maps, so it's good to have characters that can help with expediting the process so you can focus down the boss. And also, don't forget about the Ragnarok skill. That talent skill is incredibly useful for taking out groups of enemies and dealing substantial damage to bosses. I also want to note that each of the difficulty stages has a button on the bottom right of the page that shows pick rate. So it shows what other players use to beat the stage and the percentage of players that used a particular character. So you can also use that information to help you decide what characters are effective for completing both zones for each of the difficulty challenges. Of course, you can always use whatever characters you're comfortable with and whatever characters you already have built. The characters I listed are just suggestions to give you an idea of what types of characters will work for this mode. Tower of Adversity is a tough challenge, but don't let that discourage you. The event is 21 days long, and you can continue strengthening up your account during that time period. So even if you get stuck on a particular difficulty, you can spend a few days or a week building your characters and try again. This is going to be an interesting piece of content for sure, and it's considered to be endgame content, so don't let it stress you out. This is one of many iterations of Tower of Adversity, so it's content you're building up characters and your overall account for over time. So even if you can't beat all of the difficulties this time, you'll definitely get further the next time. Just do the best you can and try to get as many of the rewards as possible. I'll be posting videos about future content, video guides, and character build videos, so feel free to subscribe to the channel if you like that type of content. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.